Good afternoon, Tim. How are you?
Hi, Rita. I'm doing well. Thank you.
Great. We'll just give everyone a few minutes to move into the breakouts, and you can go ahead and share your screen, and I'll let you know when we're ready to start.
Sounds great. Thank you.
All right, Tim, I think we're ready to begin. So thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Folks, we appreciate your being here as well from the counties and from other areas of local government and state government. Tim Risholdi is the Chief Executive Officer at the Professional Development Academy, and he's the Chief Architect of the NACo High Performance Leadership Program. Many of you know him. And I'm really excited about what he has to share about the simulation that's going to be available to counties. And graciously, he'll cover the scholarship piece at the end, which all county attendees today are eligible for. So Tim, welcome. Welcome from the West Coast. And I see it's still a little foggy out there, but glad you're here, and I'm going to turn it over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Rita. It's great to be with everyone today. It's great to see so many familiar names in the chat box, although I know most of us would probably be much more comfortable face-to-face being able to see each other and appreciate each other's company. But it is great to be with you here virtually. As Rita mentioned, I am the CEO of the Professional Development Academy. Many of you know me from there, and I am calling in from Multnomah County, which is where Portland, Oregon is located, which is where I'm at. And outside it is a little foggy and still a little bit smoky because of the wildfires that we've had this season. As Rita mentioned, we will get into an area of discussion around cybersecurity simulations. You know, all of us are looking to try to get better and better and better, more prepared, establish greater level of readiness within our organizations and among our employees, because people are the perimeter of our safety, our defense, our prevention of cyber attacks and the risk that we face every day. As Jyoti mentioned earlier, I wrote it down along with some of the other notes that I was taking from hers, that people are actively trying to ruin our day every day when it comes to cybersecurity. And we have to really understand that, and we have to help, whether it be from an election security or data security, privacy security, employee security, and all the other work that we do as part of the business of our counties. And Rita mentioned, you know, one of the things that we do is as part of the Professional Development Academy in our cybersecurity program. For those of you who have been through it and are familiar with it, that 12-week online program does focus on the leadership aspects of cybersecurity. And one of those is preparedness. And as part of that, we do run through a week-long simulation, a reality-based simulation that provides bits of information throughout the week. And we've got to make decisions. We have to take action before we have all of the information we otherwise would like to have at any given day. And our simulations are built that same way. We had such great and positive responses to that simulation. We were asked to build additional simulations outside of the 12-week program just to make available throughout the year. And we're making that known here during Cybersecurity Awareness Month. And we're going to be launching our simulation in December. I think it's the first full week of December is when we're going to be doing that. Everyone here that's part of the CIOForum will receive $100% scholarship, more than $100, 100% scholarship to cover the entire cost of that simulation. So if you are interested, please connect with Rita, send me an email. If you'd like, my email is there on the screen for you. Just RSVP and hold a seat for yourself. If you're interested in participating, we'll make sure that you get signed up. And those people that are in other breakout sessions right now, they will have eligibility as well. And so we're not putting something in place just for you all. Everyone here that is part of the CIOForum will have the same 100% scholarship. So feel free to take advantage of that on behalf of NACo, as well as our sponsors making that available for you. we will get into some simulations today. We're going to actually run through a quick simulation, as well as talk about just some baseline level assessment. So wherever you are within the business of your county in trying to increase the level of readiness and defense posture when it comes to cybersecurity, we're going to cover some tips and tricks and actual applications here in the next 20 or 25 minutes that we have time together. And if you have any questions, feel free to use my email that's there on the screen. Reach out to me if you have any questions, or reach out to Rita. You know, the County Tech Exchange is a great resource to work together and collaborate with one another and share best practices and share ideas around defenses and posturing around some of the risks and threats that we face every day. Because again, as Jyoti mentioned, there's a lot of folks out there actively trying to ruin our day, you know, trying to ruin everyone's day every day. And it's extremely difficult to manage. So please connect with Rita and the County Tech Exchange to share your best practices and knowledge. And if you have any questions, feel free to touch base with Rita or myself, or use the chat box. We're happy to keep a monitor on that as we go through. First of all,
if I could just interrupt for 1 second.
Yes, of course.
Number of attendants in here. And if anyone really is interested in hearing about contract language, feel free to jump over to number 4. I know, you know, we're trying to keep numbers even as much as possible, not discouraging anyone at all from staying in this group. But if you also wanted to hear about contracts, feel free to jump over there. Tim, I'll turn it back to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Rita. And so just a quick kind of question and pulse check here around the year. You know, how's it going for everybody? You know, it's certainly not what we had planned for. It's certainly not what we had hoped for, but it is what we've got. And, you know, you think about the year, and there's so many things. We certainly expected the election coming up and the anticipation of that election, as is always the case. And it's exciting to see the number of people, you know, getting out the vote and focusing on the vote and focusing on that work. We're also focusing on a lot of things that we weren't planning for. And so we've got a lot of things that were planned for that we knew were going to be challenges and create a significant amount of change. And there's a lot of things that we weren't planned for that are creating a lot of change and really put us to task around applying certain playbooks and practices and protocols. And you know, in some cases, the pandemic was a literal disaster for some organizations, some counties in some areas, just like, you know, Iowa being faced with some of the terrible storms that they had this year, wiping out millions of acres of crops. And the same thing with what California is dealing with regarding the millions of acres of forest fires that they're battling. And I'm not too far away from some of that in Oregon. We don't have the same land coverage in terms of what is currently ablaze as California, but we've got our fair share of what we're battling, and all the other natural disaster areas with the number of hurricanes that we've had this year. There's a lot that we've been facing with. And now, if you've got kids, you're also facing with trying to teach third grade math while you're at home running the business of your counties. And, you know, there's just a significant amount more that's going on this year. And that's on the heels of last year. You might recall from Government Technology magazine, where they deemed last year as the year ransomware targeted state and local government. And that was a bad year. And that was on the heels of just after 2018, when it was the year that privacy took center stage. And the year before that, it was when data and trust and hurricanes devastated a lot of the areas again. And the year of hackers, you know, stole the year in 2016, and data breaches. It gets worse and worse every year, it seems. And it does, because this year, as bad as last year was with ransomware, the first half of this year saw more ransomware attacks on state and local governments than all of last year. And so there's always the next year of something, year of some type of risk, some type of challenge. And it does create this level of priority one aspect around cybersecurity. And it doesn't matter if you're looking at Government Technology magazine, or if you're looking at State Scoop or CIO or EDUCAUSE or anywhere else, securities, threats, risks, challenges around cyber and network infrastructure is number one priority and challenge. And as you can imagine, it's bad. I don't have to tell you that. It's bad, but you know, when we think about that, there's usually the good, the bad, and the ugly, and other type things that kind of go along hand in hand. And you might be hard pressed to think, well, there's absolutely no good associated with where we are right now. And I'll at least try to offer a silver lining. I am fairly optimistic in terms of life and work. And if there is a good thing around cybersecurity readiness, it's fairly well understood that we have to be ready. How to do that is still a question, and we're learning to get better and better and better at that. But if there is a good associated with cybersecurity readiness, your teams are better prepared now than they were last year. There's a greater level of awareness than there was last year. People know that they have to be vigilant before they click on that link. And people are getting very sophisticated about how they entice people to do that. And they still get through on a regular occasion. And sometimes through IT people, we're human as well. And sometimes we will inadvertently click on links. That happened within our company this year. Inadvertently, someone clicked on a link. It looked legit. It seemed legit. It was very, very clever. We were able to rally and defend and protect very quickly. But it happens. And the bad part is that the threats are occurring faster than ever before and faster than what we're ready to defend against them. And it gets even worse than that, because the ugly part is that when we think about an impact, when we do our disaster planning and we do the what if scenario planning, sometimes we don't think that a cyber attack is going to have the impact, the long lasting impact that it has. Sometimes we think, oh, we'll have an attack, we'll recover from it because we've got a backup and recovery system and we'll be back online. And we don't think about the breadth and the scope and the scale and the time involved with that. But then there's also the potential of things. So we've got the good, it's bad, yes, it can get really, really ugly, uglier than we think. But then there's also what's possible. The opportunity is kind of captured in the logo that Rita and NACo team have designed for the County Tech Exchange. And that is, it's about collaboration. It's about the exchange of ideas and thoughts and practices and protocols and tools with one another. Collaboration is the key to our defense of establishing people as the perimeter to better protect and defend our assets, our economy, the way in which we go about the business of our counties. And let's think about this for just a second, because many of us, likely all of us, have many, many, many more people working from home than ever before. And some of us are still working from home. Our team has been working from home since March 13th. We'll be working from home through Q1 easily, probably through Q2 of next year. And some of your folks in the county government are probably back at the office. They probably have to be at the office to carry out their work. And others are working from home. Look around wherever you're at. Just do a quick exercise here. Just look around wherever you're at, if you're at home or if you're at the office. Think about the connected devices. We just talked about security being priority one of organizations these days. Think about the connections that you have at your office. Now, whether you're at home or not, think about the connections you have at home. We run this exercise to help build awareness, further awareness about the network connectivity of things, the Internet of Things. And the Internet of Things threat is the simulation that we're going to be running in December. So again, shoot me an email or drop me a comment here in the chat box, or send Rita an email and RSVP a seat or two for you and your county mates to go through that week-long simulation. It'll take just about an hour a day in a session just like this to fully engage. So about 5 hours for that simulation, and you'll have your playbook at the end. What's the most connected, maybe even most obscure connection of a network device within your home? Think about that. When we've conducted this in face-to-face sessions and other type sessions, you might have an oven that's connected to the internet. June makes an oven. June, the brand name, makes an oven. June Intelligent Oven is a smart oven that's connected. We all probably have Amazon Echoes or some similar type device, voice controlled Echo or type of device within our system. Maybe our coffee maker is also connected in some way. And many of us have Nest thermostats, which are great to have. They increase the level of risk rather than having the old, dial on your wall that was, hardwired from there to the HVAC system and not connected to your, tablet or your phone or anywhere else. Many of us have monitors, cameras within our house, security cameras within our house, baby monitor cameras within our house, all connected to devices. Same thing with picture frames that can be a camera as well as a picture frame that, you know, you don't have to go to the grandparents' house to upload new photos to their frame. They love to see those, and they're connected. It's a connected device, as is a garden sensor within your flower beds or planter boxes, you know, within your garden. The Wallabot home monitor. This is where if it can detect if someone falls and is on the floor, not moving, it can alert the the emergency services team to have them be dispatched to your home. It's connected to a 911 service. Bose has new connected sunglasses, as do other manufacturers. There's smart plugs to help turn off switches and turn off appliances if they start to overheat or if they were left on accidentally for an extended period of time. The list goes on, including your yoga mat that is now connected, as well as the most obscure, one of the most obscure, which I think is a great product and feature. One person in an audience one time said, the most interesting connected device that I have are slippers, you know, house slippers. And the reason they have that is for elderly individuals who, you know, are at home. They want to increase their level of independence as an individual. And they've got slippers that, so long as they know, it's very similar to the Wallabot home monitor. So long as they can see the slippers moving around, you know, periodically throughout the day, they know that the person is up and mobile and doing okay. There are other devices from Apple Watches and others that can connect and make sure that other aspects of the body are connected to, you know, kind of vital sign type indicators. But this is all important because, you know, we're connected to these things. You know, sometimes we connect to these things, and if we think about them slightly being accessible to email systems and other type systems, we don't always use our organization provided materials, gear, to actually connect to organizational based work, especially these days. And so this whole bring your device to work has kind of changed, because now it is, what devices do you use? And you're conducting your work and life, it's integrated together. So we've got to be mindful about it. So it actually increases the level of risk that we have. And as we think about that risk, it's the reason that Government Technology Magazine talked about, you know, all of these issues, you know, all of these challenges. Ransomware, number one issue last year for local government organizations. Well, in that same article, CISA and MSISAC and NACo and NGA, you know, got together and collaborated around, well, what can we do about all of this? What can we do about the increased threats of cybersecurity? And how do we build increased levels of readiness and preparedness? Well, they offered three very distinct recommendations. Back up your systems, do that every day. And you're like, okay, yep, got that. You know, reinforce cyber awareness and education. Okay, trying to do that. And then revisit and refine your incident response plans, your playbooks, your how-to guides if something was to happen. And, you know, that gets a little bit less clear, because for what? You know, on what? You know, ransomware. Okay, I get that. Phishing attacks. Okay, I get that. Other types of hacks. Okay, you know, what should we be thinking about? What I'd like to do is start getting into the next level questions. The questions about where are we as an organization, as a county, as a business, around these 3 points of recommendation. Where do we need to be? How do we assess our current state and what is possible? And more importantly, how do we navigate from one point to the next, to the next, to the next, to get better and better and better? Because the landscape of cybersecurity is constantly changing, and therefore we have to constantly change and get better and better and better. And again, it gets back to this. We do have a great level of awareness around cybersecurity, and the focus really has to be on the exchange with one another, the collaboration with one another to come together and share this information. It's the reason that NACo partners with the Professional Development Academy. It's the reason that NACo partners with the great providers that they have as part of the OctCIOForum to help support their county tech exchange as well, to bring about this level of collaboration and this connectedness with one another to exchange great ideas, insights, and perspectives. One of the individuals relative to perspectives that went through our academy to learn and increase his awareness around cybersecurity and what he can do for his county, Blaine County, Idaho, you talked about how the collaboration with one another in that academy helped to refocus his vision and energize or re-energize his approach to his work and build about and deliver and implement new strategies, more proven strategies to help with customer safety, security, effectiveness, as well as the outcomes that they're trying to generate within their county. And I bring this up just simply because this is about collaboration. It's everything that NACo is doing. How do we build a network among NACo and then networks of networks within NACo so that we can better strengthen the counties of America and deliver the services that are so desperately needed? The way in which we do that is to prevent aspects and the negative aspects of things like ransomware. If we're held hostage when it comes to ransomware, it prevents us from delivering our services. And so we put perimeters in place to try to prevent that from happening. So let's focus here for just a second on a simulation, a quick simulation around ransomware. And the reason that we want to focus on ransomware is because last year it was identified as the #1 threat and issue when it comes to cybersecurity for local government. But it is a major issue for everyone, whether you're a rural county or a very large urban county. Ransomware is a major, major issue. It's a huge disruption to your service. In many cases, the expectation of what you're being held ransom for is really nonsense. You know, a lot of times you'll be held ransom for a couple Bitcoin, a few $1,000s. And it's nothing in the grand scheme of things, but the disruption to the service that you're trying to provide is catastrophic. And we look at this, the Academy and NACo look at this in terms of the NIST World of Threats, which is a sampling here in the table. And when it comes to ransomware, a lot of times you might be able to build a playbook or build some defense posture around a specific area within all of the different defense or threat vectors, if you will. So ransomware is one vector. Exploits of on weak or non-existent encryption information is another vector. How do we prevent all of that from happening? This can be a checklist for you. It's like, are we covered for website defacement issues? How do we do that? You know, are we covered when it comes to malware via email? Do we have not only the awareness in place, backup and recovery in place, training and practices in place, but ongoing mechanism that if we are impacted negatively, do we have the steps necessary to recover? Because the last time you want to be thinking about whether or not we've got a clear approach to recover is at the time of the event. So there's a reason that people like airline industry has very prescribed and 3-ring binders of information in the cockpit if an engine failure occurs. It's not the worst thing to have happen on an airplane, but it's obviously terrible to have happen on an airplane. But if it does occur, there's a step-by-step guide, because you don't want the pilots and others to be in that act of chaos and have emotions running high, anxieties running high, them trying to figure out, okay, what are those 18 steps I'm supposed to be doing right now? It's very clear what it is you're supposed to be doing. So we highlight this because a lot of times one threat coming in one vector actually morphs because of the way in which they're trying, the attackers are trying to decoy or disguise what is actually going on. And so ransomware, we're highlighting here the areas that actually could be in play, the attack vectors to actually create a ransomware attack. And so this is what's covered in one of the simulations that we have. And so here's the simulation. You just received an emergency call from your executive in charge of cybersecurity. That might be you. You're calling your CAO or CEO or commissioner, and you're informing them that the most critical data servers have been breached, including your website, all of which are now being held ransom. Based on that scenario, so you get a call from maybe an analyst, or if you're the security officer in charge, you're making the call into your commissioner or your CAO or others, your clerk perhaps. What are your first 3 plays? What are the first 3 steps? That could be the first one. I've made the call, right? So you might know this answer, right? You might know, okay, where are they at? What server do they have? Is it quarantined? Can we stop the spread of that from going anywhere else? Are all of our critical servers not our critical data, separated from the servers so that they don't have access to all critical data at the same time. You know, question, you were to see a fire alarm going off, the lights flashing in your office building, you know immediately what to do. You know immediately to, you know, funnel out the door, go down the most direct access way to outside the building. If you're in a community setting or a building with a large group of individuals, you probably have some type of protocol where individuals are captains or you know, something titled like that, where they're keeping roll call of everybody. Did everyone get out of the building safely? You know exactly what to do. Does everyone know exactly what to do when it comes to cyber attacks within your company? That's what we're trying to get to. We're trying to build that level of awareness that everyone has that same level of understanding. When the fire alarm goes off, if we hear a tornado alarm, we know what to do. We need to do the same thing when it comes to cyber. And then after we fix things, what about the recovery of trust? What about the recovery of brand reputation with your providers, with your suppliers, with your partners, with your governance committees, with your commissioning bodies, with all the other stakeholders, your employees? How do you actually restore that trust? What are the steps that you go? So these are the things to keep in mind relative to a playbook. What are the step-by-step plays that if something happens along all of those NIST world of threats, there should be set of plays, especially for those at the highest level of probability and the highest level of impact. And then one other question, if you wanted to think about it with your teams, what's the most effective, and the most vulnerable perimeter of defense mechanism securing your data today? There's only one answer. It only takes one word to answer it, and it's people. And you know that, and I know that. But does everyone in the county know that? Do all the employees know that they do have a responsibility? They do have an ownership, a capability as well to really serve as the point of defense. And do they know the right people to call? Do they know the right mechanism to reach out to? And that's not the simulation we're going to be going through for a week. I mean, that's just a simple kind of check relative to ransomware. What are the first 3 steps? We bring that up because we know of examples where people that have gotten themselves into a ransomware attack, you know, they had some infighting relative to what they wanted to do. Do they pay the ransom or they don't pay the ransom? What does the insurance provider say? Do we have insurance? What does it cover? How much does it cover? Do we breach or do we void the insurance if we contact our attorneys to get their opinion? Do we void the insurance if we contact a third party security officers in other counties to get advice and guidance from them? What happens when our attorneys and our insurance providers are at odds as what they think we should be doing? These are the what if scenarios that often don't get detailed until the time of the actual breach, and they should be. It's the reason for the simulation, the detail of that simulation. Stepping back from the simulation, there's a couple other things that we can be thinking about to build readiness, and then I'll hand this back over to Rita for any questions and to wrap up the session and get back to the rest of the CIO forum. First of all, just our overall assessment. You know, where are we with our systems? If anyone's interested in this information, that these slides are going to be available. You know, a quick, you know, pretty simple low, medium, high level of readiness when it comes to, do we have a full system inventory? Do we have a full system inventory now that we've got a remote workforce, much larger remote workforce than we had before? What about our backup and recovery? Are we good with backing it up, but have we fully set up the recovery side and tested the recovery side from zero to finish? You know, have we segmented our network access? If you are in charge of cybersecurity, this is just a good checklist to use. If you are an influencer, you could take this into your IT team and say, hey, have we done this for our systems? Have we looked at this? And if we want to look beyond just the network of things and some of the initial audit of our systems, if you will, we can look beyond that to a continuity checklist. Business continuity is really what we're trying to make sure that we have ready if we do in fact realize risks to become real, not just threats, but actual reality. This is just a series of questions, 25 questions we should be asking ourselves within our county. Are we ready? And if something bad happens, can we recover? And if so, how quickly? So again, just 25 questions. We're not going to go through these because we don't have the time, but we do want, Rita and I wanted to make sure you had certain tools and capabilities outside of this focus being Cybersecurity Awareness Month. Do we have some of the tools to actually apply for the business of our counties to get better and better and better? And just a quick reference guide, a cheat sheet, if you will, as you think about remote work and remote policies and the new work, because we are in a new world this year, has been quite different than what we otherwise expected. And again, these bullet points and these slides will be made available to you, during this session. Again, thank you, Rita. Thank you for hosting this session. It's great of all the work that NACo puts together, especially these CIO forums, throughout the year. It's great to keep everyone collaborating together. And if anyone does have questions about the Academy or about the upcoming simulation, Rita and NACo is providing 100% scholarship for all county members of NACo to participate. Feel free to reach out to Rita, reach out to myself to request your scholarship, and we'll make sure that you have access to that cybersecurity simulation in December, after which you will have a full playbook for the Internet of Things threats that are threatening your counties and counties across the United States. So thank you all for participating as NACo members and in this CIO forum. And Rita, it's always great to see you and always great to be invited to anything that you and NACo put together. So thank you so much.
Hey, thank you so much, Tim. Greatly appreciated. And we do have a little bit of time for some questions. And I was just writing down some notes here. So if anyone in the group has a question and want to unmute themselves, feel free to do that, or post the question in the chat and I'll watch for it here. So I guess, Tim, it's interesting listening to some of what you shared. It just made me even more mindful that I forget which slide it was, but you talked extensively about the significant increase that we've had in cyber attacks and in ransomware this year. And it is directly tied to the COVID situation. So just from your perspective, do you see that going down? Do you see it escalating even more than what we're dealing with right now?
Yeah, we're seeing it escalate even more because people are working from home, and it seems like that's going to be happening extended into the future. And it is the work from home activity because of COVID that we've seen the spike in activity of threats and attacks that are happening, and the actual result of people just inadvertently clicking on something that they think is legitimate, but it's just not, and causing problems. People do not have the same level of security in the home as they do in the office, and they don't have easy access to people like you, Rita, the technology officer of an organization, passing in the hall. I've got to stop and pause and find Rita's number. It's like, who's my chief technology officer? Who's my CIO? Who should I be contacting when I do inadvertently click? So sometimes we see attacks happening for longer periods of time too, because they're not reported as quickly as if someone was in the office. And so, yes, we are seeing the threats continue to increase, and we're seeing the reality of effective attacks, from an attacker perspective, being effective, because people they're more distracted at home as well. They're not as focused because we all probably on the call realize what's going on. At 9 o'clock, parents have to help their kids get on their own Zoom calls for school. And, while I'm doing that, I'm trying to juggle my team meeting that starts in 15 minutes, and I'm juggling other things as well. And so it's extremely challenging. Stress is extremely high. People can't see and visit, parents and grandparents and others who are in the hospital or nursing homes and others. So because stress is high, anxiety is high, our thinking is not as clear as it otherwise would be. We thought we were busy juggling a lot of things before. There are even more balls in the air now, and the attackers know this.
Absolutely. So thank you for that feedback there. I just want to comment on the slide that is up in front of everyone. That's cyber simulation, I believe, Tim, that we defined that for the week of December 7th. And as you noted, it's probably about maybe half hour, 45 minutes a day on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. with doing homework. And then Thursday will be a group chat into groups, preferably, folks from your county with a few other counties. And then on Friday, it'll be a cohort wide, as we would call it, recap. Cyber simulations are extremely important, and we really hope that that those from the county are able to sign up and join. And we'll send out a note to all attendees with a way to complete a form so we know who is interested and wants to be a part of that. So I don't see any questions in the chat, and that's fine, no problem whatsoever. This will be recorded and shared out as well after today. So thank you again, Tim. And what we're going to do right now, folks are joining back from the other breakouts. We're going to take a 3-minute break, and you'll see the timer come up on the screen. And that once that starts in 3 minutes, I want you all just to come right back. And then we have a county CIO leader video